Welcome back to Taproom Talks. Today we're joined by Neil Carr of AMS Global. Neil, can you just tell us who you are and what it is you do?
Sure, I'm Neil Carr. I am the managing director and co-founder of a company called AMS Global Group. We set up initially in 2012. Didn't get anywhere. A totally different market in Aberdeen, and everyone was making plenty of money, and there was no real room for efficiency or any kind of.
That's $100 oil time, isn't it, in 2012?
Very much so, yeah. So we shelved it at that point. 2016, we came to a crossroads where we either closed it down or paid a fine for missed submission of
Okay.
zero
Company's house or something, yeah.
Yeah, and at that point we sat down with an A4 sheet of paper and decided, yeah, we could do it. And we reached out to 2 or 3 of the companies we'd spoke to in 2012, and different market, a real opportunity to drive safety and drive improvements. And
So when you restarted it, or around about, I think 2017 or 2018, you were doing a Waterloo Quay and I was in a little shitty office fucking in there as well. So, and you guys were sharing an office. There was only you and Gary maybe at that time, and maybe a couple of and a dog maybe.
yeah, that's pretty much it. We it was Hunter at the time, and so we shared an office with a company called Folks Offshore. So we had 2 desks, they had 2 desks, and that's where we got going from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. We actually got evicted because Texo were new in the scene.
I remember that as well.
The
office did look better once they moved in.
yeah, they did a good job.
A nice big graphic right across the whole.
Exactly.
Oh, they took all the windows and everything, the graphic, everything.
We were on month-by-month contract on the office, and
they offered more money.
yeah, they just walked in and said, "Yeah, we'll have it," and we're like, "All right,
Goodbye.
so yeah, let's change days."
Yeah. And before that, so where did you grow up?
I'm Aberdeen, born and bred, so I moved around quite a lot as a kid. I was up Maastricht, Northfield, out to Bucksburn. My mum remarried a couple of times, so my original name was actually Neil Sim.
Okay.
And then later on I became Neil Ray and then Neil Carr. It's been some changes. I ended up in Courier, so Courier lad. So if you ask me really, I would say
From there.
yeah.
And what about work? So, or college, uni, what did you do?
Yeah, did everything. So work-wise, from a young age, I did stuff like delivering milk and papers, and working in a spa, and working in Borsalino,
Right.
one of the best Italian restaurants in the northeast.
Is it still open?
Yeah, it's still going fine. Yeah, I haven't been in a while. And then when I got to a point that school wasn't working for me, I got a job through one of my friends' dads, Willie Easton, out at Streammill.
Okay.
Working in timber frame, and yeah, that probably changed my direction quite a lot, because after doing piecework and realizing you can make quite a bit of money, and if you worked hard,
Yeah.
just
So you're building kits?
yeah, that was it. So great big factory where you put them together manually and you're paid by the meter effectively.
Okay.
So it was really good. I decided that I wanted to be a quantity surveyor and avoid oil and gas, because 2000s early, it was pretty volatile. $14, $15. So
And did you know people in the industry then that put you off it?
yeah. Being brought up in Courier, there's a lot of people that you saw that were struggling, and then progressed on after that. So,
Yeah.
and
So you ended up in it anyway. So how did you get there?
yeah, it's a funny one, because I did land economy management at Aberdeen Uni. I went to college and did my hires, and I went to Aberdeen Uni, did preparation for higher education, and then I moved in land economy management. As I was finishing that, I started to get some work experience, a few companies that were doing large scale civils work, and it became quite apparent that the quantity surveyors, or the guys involved in these projects, would get a theme of what they were doing. So you might be working on universities or hospitals.
Okay.
When I was discussing it with them, they're like, "Oh, it's great you're on this uni project. The next one, that's Belfast. So by the time you're finished uni, you'd be moving on to that." And I'm like, all right. And then they think they've got another one in 5 years after that down in Wales. I was just thinking, that's not what you like doing for. I don't want to spend. I mean, some of these guys were doing 2 hours commute every morning from Glasgow to Aberdeen to build these projects. So I thought, no, I'll try something different. I had no money, so when I was at uni, I landed a job doing tank cleaning through one of my friends, and it opened me up to the world of marine, and then in turn marine surveying.
And you enjoy that?
You know what, the being in a confined space and getting something done,
Yeah.
it was quite satisfying. Unlike other jobs I've had where there's no end. It's not like you do a project from start to finish and it's complete. At least with building a scaffolding, you go, you throw it up, it's there, and that's it. You're quite satisfied with your work.
And what's involved in tank cleaning then? I've seen like nowadays, because there's like drones and stuff like that, you're able to see there's more and more videos or content available so people can get an idea about what's involved in tank cleaning. What tanks are you cleaning?
So all of the drilling fluids that go offshore go into tanks on PSVs.
Yeah.
These tanks change every time you change a product. You need to clean these tanks to a standard that's suitable. And so the general kind of process is that this is a job that most people don't want to do because it's Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday nights, 24/7, 365. Hard work, wet work. I mean, you're literally in a slicker suit with Vaseline on your wrists and a rag around your chin to keep the water out, and you're working for hours on end with high pressure jetting, and working at height, working in confined space.
And how many people would clean a tank?
One or two.
Okay.
Depends on the size of the tank, because for every person you've got down, you need 2 people ready to rescue them if something goes wrong. And then you've got all the equipment that goes with it. You've got a vac tanker, you've got a jetting unit, you've got your rescue gear. So if you've got a squad of 7, there's probably only 1 working and 2 hatchmen looking after them, and everyone else is making sure the kit's there and doing what it's doing. And
so who was that you worked for then? Who?
Taylor's Industrial Services.
Okay.
And at the same time, I did some freelancing for William Nichols as well.
So you decided then to take that on as a job rather than a...
Yeah, pretty much. So off the back of that, I got into inspecting the tanks, which was a type of marine surveying.
When was that?
It must be 2005, 6.
Okay, so you've done that for quite a bit.
Yeah, a good few years, on and off. I got a job after that with a company that worked on safety cases. So that was a form of marine surveying where you did a compartment study and you go out to a rig or a jack up and you walk through the spaces and say, is it fire, explosion, what risks are in here, what have they got in place, is the fire system suitable, is there likely to be heat transfer through bulkheads, does it have its grommets in, and things like the major accident hazard risk assessments that went with that.
Yeah.
How they're going to respond to it, what processes they've got in place, how they'll stand up, and things like safety critical elements. So I did that for
Was this on North Sea?
No,
or abroad as well?
So the standard comes from the North Sea off the back of the Cullen report.
Yeah.
Everywhere else in the world follows it, to a degree.
Yeah.
So
But were you doing work just here, or were you?
No, I was everywhere. I was. I mean, on one job I did Dubai, Singapore, back to Dubai, then out to China, then back to Aberdeen, and that was a 3-week period.
Wow.
So it's.
And you enjoy that? Did you enjoy the traveling?
No.
Okay.
It's funny, isn't it? Because everyone's like, "Oh, great, you got to go to Singapore." I saw a dry dock.
Yeah, you never saw any of it.
Nah, you holiday in, and then you're taken by bus to the rig that you're going at, and you work for 12 to 15 hours, and go back to the hotel and eat the same dinner that you're going to have 5 times that week, and then
home.
Back, then home. Yeah, it's a lot of airports.
Yeah,
have a lot of waiting around airports. But
wow.
Yeah.
So for there, 2005, 2006 to 2012, what was the career there?
Yeah, so a bit of marine surveying, finishing off uni. So I finished uni 2008, and then I went to do a postgrad at RGU. So I did that while I was working.
Okay.
Yeah. Then at the end of 2012, I got a job with Bibby Offshore. So I decided to. Basically, I was getting into the realms of doing my MSc in safety and reliability engineering, which would have been the 3rd time I was at uni, and I'm not maths orientated at all. And we were doing KFX analysis on rigs and explosion and blaze and how fires react and things, and I just had to take a sit back and go,
Just struggled with.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the mental capacity to operate CAD and work in 3D, and it was beyond my realms. So
Fair enough.
and I think it was important at that point to say, well, why was I doing it? I like to keep people safe. You know, I think it's really important that everybody who goes to work gets to come home and, you know, obviously work in confined spaces.
Especially in this industry.
Absolutely.
And what then gave you the idea to go and start Aberdeen Marine Surveyors then at that time?
Well, I was, we were working at the time for a gentleman called Ian McDougall, and he was, you know, he was just a lovely, lovely guy. And there was work that was coming through that he basically said didn't want to do, didn't have any real interest in it. And things
What
like
kind of work was that?
shipping of like Christmas trees,
Okay.
out of gauge cargo, break bulk, you know, cargo that goes into cargo ships. Because obviously in marine surveying, you've got, you know, a wide array of people's skills. Desktop work is probably the most lucrative.
Yeah.
And whereas being on a quayside for 15 hours at a time, measuring boxes and checking them
Not so exciting.
not so exciting.
Yeah.
So that at that point, you know, we
So you just saw that was sitting there and not really being utilised.
yeah, exactly. So we let him know that, you know, me and my co-founder, that we were interested in potentially doing that, and he said, yeah, if you want to give it a pop, why not? So set it up, asked some questions. It fell pretty flat.
So were you still working for him at the time?
Yeah.
And then doing this on the side? And what was Gary doing then, your co-founder?
Yeah,
Is he working in the same company?
exactly the same company. Yeah, so he was doing marine TA, marine assurance, through the company at the time, to support Total.
Okay.
So and it was I think it was around about that time that they had the Elgin field gas release and things. So there's quite a lot going on.
Yeah.
So it was quite interesting. A lot of travel. You know, it was quite busy.
And what about you and Gary then? How did you agree to go and do this together?
So every lunchtime we used to go and walk his dog.
Right.
You know, so
That was the dog?
yeah,
Okay.
it was the dog's fault. You know, so Hunter would go for a walk, normally around synthetics because the office was round that side of Torry, and you know, at the time we were starting to see a little bit of a downturn in what was happening in the work that we were at, and there was discussions about layoffs. There was discussions about working less, and at the time, you know, we said, you know, it'd be good to have a bit more control over what we were doing, and you know, you don't need that much if you're just, you know, two lads that have set up a business.
And was there much investment put in at that time?
Nah, nothing at all, really.
No.
You
Just
know,
set up a brand and see if we can get some work, phone people.
that's it. No, almost, yeah, minimal barriers to entry for consultancy, and
Yeah.
it's basically freelancing, but with a couple extra guys.
And how long did you run that in 2012 before you thought, okay, this is not happening?
Not very long at all. So we reached out to a few companies to say, look, this was the idea. The only work that we were going to pick up at that point was the kind of break bulk work, which would never sustain two people.
Yeah.
So at that point we shelved it. We both continued working for the company at that point for a wee while. And then I got offered a job. I got offered two jobs at the same time, one continuing what I was doing at the moment, and then another one that diverged onto safety coaching. So yeah, it was
So you've done that.
Yeah, I mean, I like people. Yeah.
And I guess you guys kept in touch, and then in 2016, what did you think then was different that you could go again? Oil price must have been much less. There must have been.
Well, we'd both been through quite a rough few years, because the company the Gary stayed working at, they cut down to a 3-day week, because they had so much less work. I was part of a team of 8 safety coaches at the time, and we all had to, you know, reapply for our jobs, come in and present, you know,
Try and keep your position.
exactly, and it was quite hard, and it didn't look like it was getting any better.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. And you know, when we had that fine come through and we met out for a coffee, we thought we could do it. You know, we did.
Was the business plan the same, or does it change?
Pretty much, yeah. So it was dust it off, an A4 sheet of paper, you know, list down 5 or 6 clients that we think we could go and get started with. And
so what changed this time then? You picked up an order, you picked up a client?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So the clients that we spoke to in 2012, you know, the fear of changing anything in their operation was so high, and they were making plenty of money and they didn't really need to push that hard. By the time 2015, 2016 came around, you know, cuts in rates, cuts in
Everybody's looking at efficiency and where they can save and everything else.
Absolutely. It was, I think the phrase at the time was fit for purpose.
Okay, yeah.
That's what they were looking at on every service line, no gold-plated
So
stuff.
kind of more doors were open then.
Oh, absolutely. But we only took on one client because it was only Gary and I. And it was actually in the bulk surveying space. We'd looked at marine assurance. We'd looked at a variety of other things. Even we got offers of safety coaching as well. So I remember kind of pondering,
what should we do?
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest challenge was if there's just you and your business partner, you are the product.
Yeah.
So we were working
this time
80 hours a week, and that was the max that you could do. So that was end of July 2016. We got our first client. Everything was pretty good, and it was.
And did that client basically cover your salaries?
What we actually did was the first payment we got from any of the work we did, we went out and recruited, because there's a period in November where our competitors had pushed really, really hard to get that work back off of us.
Yeah. And that price, just try to undercut.
It was, along that kind of lines. So at that point, instead of us just saying, well, what do we need to look after us? We said, well, we need to grow. The only way...
You need more hours.
Yeah. And we need more people. The only way we can, protect ourselves and protect the people that are going to work for us is to be a bit more aggressive with it. Because we would have been quite happy just working away with one client.
Yeah.
Quite comfortable.
And where are you now then? What's changed?
What's changed since then? Quite a lot.
10 years.
10 years on. So we've went from, obviously, Gary and I and Hunter the dog. Hunter's sadly passed away.
Yep.
So we've now got Archie and Arnie as the two dogs, and we're now up around about 50 staff.
Yeah.
And we've got 5 working out in the Caspian and Azerbaijan. We've got 2 or 3 across in Africa, and we've got personnel from here that are manning some of the Spanish operations.
Wow. And how have you picked up that work abroad then? Is that following clients?
Just luck.
Just luck.
Yeah,
must be more than just luck.
No, it's we deliver a good service here.
Yeah.
We repeat the same process over and over again. And
the companies you're working for in Africa and the Caspian, are they companies from here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. The people move around and they think, how are we going to get the same quality service with the North Sea? Well, bring us with.
And services, has your services changed?
Massively, yeah. So in those first few years, we were just doing general marine surveying. We got to a point where we were doing so much high hazard stuff that we really needed a safety division as well.
Yeah.
And so you've now got AMS Marine and our Aberdeen Marine Surveyors, and then you've got AMS Safety, which is breathing apparatus, gas detection, life jackets, life rafts, all high hazard support, emergency response teams, decommissioning support.
And is that like upselling to your existing clients, or is that new clients for new parts of the business?
There's a mix. I mean, when you look at our client base now, it's
you're kind of looking at how you can add value to your client, how you can add their services.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at a tender now for us, it's got hundreds and hundreds of line items. It's actually one of the things we've been trying to focus on, is bring that in a little bit and a little bit more.
You went too fast.
Yeah, but
it's easy done, isn't it? Because everything kind of snowballs, or you do one thing and see another opportunity, and you kind of go down a rabbit hole sometimes.
Absolutely, because we took the approach that we're pragmatic kind of problem solvers.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. So if a client's got a problem,
always look
where we go, and they say, well, we're not getting this product, or we're struggling with this, or post Brexit, supply of equipment in the UK has become a bit more challenging. Around COVID, there was lots of issues around there. So we tend to try and find a solution and then deliver on it. But once you've added it in, it's a lot harder
to take it away. Yeah. I was speaking to somebody from Adura the other day, and they were saying how challenging they were finding it right now to get equipment and get material, because a lot of the supply chain here have shifted their kit to the Middle East or the US.
Yeah.
So that's going to become a bigger challenge, because more companies are going to look to do that over the next year or so. There'll be less kit lying about Aberdeen.
Absolutely. And the model for equipment has to change. I don't think that purchase is probably going to be the first choice anymore when it comes to oil operators. So we work very much on a lease hire buyback type scenario. which is much more economical for them, and also there's much less waste.
Yeah.
You know, you might have one piece of kit that can supply 3 different clients at different times a year. Just depends on.
So you got to manage how much you're holding as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what your inventory is and how much you're holding in stock.
We're probably holding between £1.5 and £2 million of stock at any one time.
And what's the turnover of your business?
So we just finished 25 and it's just under 8 million.
8 million, with 1.5 million in stock, plus labour, plus everything else that goes along with it. And I see your vans everywhere. You must have fucking more vans than anybody else in this site.
Yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, I see.
You keep Thomas busy in graphics.
I know. He does a good job. Yeah, that's the problem. We keep blowing them up and breaking them and stuff. So he's.
Are you into electric vehicles now, or?
We do, yeah. So we run electric cars for the majority of the marine surveyors. We've got a couple of electric vans which the guys tend to push back on a little bit.
Okay.
There's a little bit of range anxiety with them still. So yeah, we've moved across.
I guess you're covering all there, so it can be a pain in the arms.
Oh yeah, and I mean we can, you know, from our Humber site, for instance, you can be down Thamesport, across to Liverpool, down to Great Yarmouth.
Yeah.
So you do need
a diesel van.
Diesel vans are the best, but we've got a couple of petrol hybrid just now, and they're really performing well.
And the companies went from 2 guys to 50 odd people, and growing, or ad hoc consultants and everything else as you need them. How do you manage that then?
It's very difficult.
Because you weren't in a management position before, so you've had to pick this up and just learn as you go.
Yeah. So we basically, what we've done is we've added to the team to help with that management. So we created an advisory board, and so we've got professionals that help us on a monthly basis.
And are they people that have came in for the industry who've run companies?
Absolutely, yeah. So at the moment it consists of Graham Wood, Jonathan Smith, and Graham Bell. So that kind of sits in the 3 pillars of what we.
So how did you bring them in? How did you approach them? Did they approach you? Or
yeah,
how does that happen?
Asked around a lot of try to find the right people, because when you look at the values of our business and what we're all about, we're humble, loads of integrity in what we do. We need to get things right. We need to make sure that what we're doing is governed appropriately. So we spoke to the IOD, we spoke to FSB, we went around the doors to see who would be a good fit.
Yeah.
And we're still looking at adding to that as well.
When you put that board together, did you look for people with industry experience or business experience, or what was your? So what did you think would work?
Yeah, it was challenging. So with staff, what we've came to the conclusion of that your industry experience is good, but what it is, it's about the people and the attitude and how they're going to fit into the team. So we had a
kind of culture.
Absolutely, and we hire for culture and personality as opposed to skill set and see.
And how do you maintain that culture then as the company grows and more people can get involved?
And the managers do a good job within the business.
And very, very much in the recruitment aspect then for the start, I guess.
Yeah, very much so. And also we do lots of regular things like visiting the tap room and axe throwing and things like that. So we try really hard to get them out of the office and get them all work.
Build relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
And what about your leadership skill set, or how you lead? It's just take people to a pub.
Yeah, literally don't have any. I just no, we've because we've been developing internally as we've grown this, as we've added team members. I would say up to 10 people.
Yes.
Easy. Your communication lines are nice and flat.
Yeah.
And you don't have things getting lost in translation. But also, up to our first 20 people, we'd worked with every one of them.
Yeah.
They
people you knew and trusted. Yeah.
Absolutely. Known entities. Once we got beyond that, you start to see that maybe 1 in 10 might not be a fit. Yeah. But we probably weren't reactive enough.
Yeah. And that's something you've learned, to be quicker at kind of cutting that out.
Well, it's fairer on them and it's fairer on us.
Yeah.
So we're much more to the point. If it's not working, it's not working, and we move it on.
And what about when you're trying to do that, where you've got people in Africa and people in the Caspian and whatever? How do you try and have that same culture, business ethics?
Most of our international people also work back in the UK as well.
So you're spending time with them here as well. They're kind of
Absolutely.
involved in the team.
So we treat Aberdeen, and we always will, as HQ, Centre of Excellence, all that good stuff, and that's where everyone's getting their training, their skill set, etc.
Yeah.
And we tend to recruit from here as well.
And how do you and Gary manage as a joint business owners? I'm guessing that must be challenging sometimes. You can't agree on everything all the time.
Can be, yeah. So we've set up a senior leadership team. So that consists of all the senior managers. We've also we promoted Martin Taylor. Martin initially came to the business as BD, and he's worked his way through
the business.
Yeah, and he's now,
I'm guessing he understands the culture and the way the business runs and everything else.
And he's moved into a role now where he is the focal point of both businesses. So everything goes through that, and then we've got the board that operates alongside that.
That's what you're doing then.
And still try to work that out. Mostly BD. And an awful lot of support, training, nurturing team.
And through that 10 years then, what's been the most challenging time?
Cash flow.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you think you're doing great, you've won a contract, and then all of a sudden you've got to pay for it. And we've completely organically built our business. We haven't went out to VCs, we haven't had the opportunity to raise funds, and you take a punt. You get a gut feeling on whether something's going to work. We've created divisions and new businesses in certain areas and things that haven't worked.
Yeah. And what do you do then? Is it you try to be quick at calling that?
It's really difficult, because what's a reasonable amount of time? I mean,
also how much have you invested in it sometimes as well, kind of maybe sways you to keep going with it.
Oh yeah, it's the gambler's paradox, isn't it? Where you think you're going to win, you're
going to make it work.
Yeah. But as long as every service line that we put in is complementary, as long as we can retrain and reskill within the business and bring people in and bring people out, so that we're not having to employ and then cut, then we're okay with taking a chance.
Has there been any times in that 10 years where you thought, fuck, we're in a pickle here, or we're stuffed, or I should go get another job? Or
there's been a few times that the money's not coming in from clients, and you're just going, where, I mean.
And how do you deal with that then? Do you get stressed about that, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely had a toll on my health. I mean, I suffer from gout. Gout is a stress-related problem that comes with it. I put on, I was 115, 116 kilos.
So piling on the weight.
Yeah, stress eating, things like that. It really, really does have a big effect.
And have you learned to deal with that now, or?
I've had to. So my second son was born 5 months ago, and I'd had my medicals and everything, and I pumped it all into ChatGPT and just said, look, this is my bloods, this is everything else. Give me some advice on it.
Yeah.
And it came back saying, you've got a high mortality rate in the next 10, 15 years based on what we're seeing here, and you need to do something about it. So I have, and so yeah, since May last year, basically gave up drinking and just been eating clean as I can every day, training every morning, pretty much, go to the gym.
Good.
So yeah.
Are you enjoying that? Or do you feel better mentally?
I feel way better. The big bit's been the sleep, because what I found was the more stressed I got, the worse my headache was.
Yeah.
And so for instance, my phone now, I don't let it charge next to me in the bed.
Okay.
Because when you looked at my screen time, sometimes I was doing 2 hours work between midnight and 4 in the morning.
Yeah, oh good.
It's all too accessible now. It's, you can reply to emails, and if you've got people working internationally and you've got, things that you need to do.
Different time zones. Yeah. So, well, what do you do then away for AMS? What do you do to take that stress away, or just to chill out?
Lift weights.
Okay.
So I find that very good. So yeah, I've been pretty regular with that. Used to play football, feet won't tolerate it anymore.
Okay.
So I'm totally out of that. But I'm gonna start pickleball.
Okay.
In a couple of weeks' time.
Where's that?
David Lloyd.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give that a bash. And also, what I'm doing now is I'm setting proper challenges every year. So this year I'm going to do the Caledonian eTape. which is a cycling race. And
Superb. So it sounds like you're getting pretty damn fit.
well, I just like challenges. So I don't cycle. So
Yeah.
this should be really interesting.
Yeah, well, fair enough, sore butt.
I've got my nappy ready. So
Yeah. And then I think you've got a client day or something like that coming up.
we do, yeah. So
How does that work? Is that companies you work with already? They're suppliers to you guys, or what?
yeah, pretty much. So Partners Day, we discussed, about 6 months ago, how do we, get everyone involved, because there's a lot of people involved in AMS and what we do and the journey that we're on. How do we give back in some kind of way, and how do we get them all elevated? Because we are really bad at telling people what we do.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the safety division, for instance, when you've got RPE, you've got breathing apparatus, you've got a variety of PPE that goes with it. We support projects. We've got intrinsically safe air compressors. We've got nitrogen generators, lighting, everything that goes into a project. But it just sits on a set of racking.
Yeah.
And it goes out to the client, it comes back, we clean it, service it, and then it goes back out again. So it's about elevating the people that work with us.
So how many companies do you work with? Like, how many partners do you have?
Yeah, offhand, 50, 60 at least.
So that's basically your supply chain.
Yeah.
So how does that work then? If you do, are these all distributors, or do they also sell direct to the client?
It depends. So
You kind of opening your doors and saying this is who you can buy for, or
yeah. Well, I mean, we're open and transparent with everyone. Yeah. So we have manufacturers, we have distribution agreements, we have service agreements, and so yeah, we just want to let our clients see,
we're involved.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes you forget that, for instance, a compressor, you forget that comes from part of a bigger supply chain that can do a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the learnings cross industry, when you look at stuff that's being used in the nuclear industry that can also be used here, there's a lot of sharing. So as well as the partners being in a position that they can put the stands up and show everyone what they've got.
Yeah.
We've also got, I think there's 10 or 11 speakers on the day as well that are going to run through case studies for.
And is this the first time you've done something like that?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
And does that kind of show where the business is going, to the point where you've got, well, you're doing your own kind of trade day? And
yeah. Well, I would actually say it's more where the management team's gone, because with Gary and I in the business, we've taken it so far, but doing what you used to do won't get you where you need to be. So now you're looking at a more developed senior leadership team, and these are all great ideas that are coming out of them, and everyone that works within that group is saying, well, how do we get our message across?
And where do you need to be? So what is the plan? Is the plan, you mentioned no private equity money, no external financing. Yeah. Is the plan to sell the business, or is the plan to do an MBO, or what?
It's a good question. Really don't know at the moment.
Okay. And what are you working towards? What is your goal at the minute?
Well, when we set up the business, it was to work towards stability. And what you tend to find is that it's all in steps. So you get more work, then you need more. You've got more money, then you spend more money, then it kind of goes up like that. And so we're gunning to double again. So be around about the 15-16 million turnover.
And we do that with double the amount of people, or are you going to use tech and everything else? Or
yeah, I mean, we've got it all managed out with how many people we need to employ and at what stage, etc., as part of our strategy. But yeah, there is tech in there. We're trying to embrace more. We're still at the early stages of understanding how AI can affect our business. But nothing beats.
And how much of your business now is tank cleaning?
Oh, none. We don't do any tank cleaning. We still do a bit of box surveying. It's probably about 6.5%.
Wow. So it's a complete different business.
Oh,
now then.
Night and day.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. If we were setting up again today, probably wouldn't do
half of what you do.
Half of what we do.
Yeah.
But we do what we say, and we say what we do. So we've offered to provide a service, and we will.
What's the proudest thing, or what are you most proud of the last 10 years of AMS?
I think it's we do a lot in the community. You know, we don't shout about it enough.
Yeah.
You know, we provide a lot of jobs. There's a lot of people that we've taken in. 60% of the guys and girls that work with us didn't come from industry. You know, they've been brought through. When we first started, I would say our first 5 years, everyone employed had been made redundant or, you know, lost work. I think it's one of those things. I'm from quite a poor background. I think generating opportunities for young people in Aberdeen is critical.
That's good.
You know.
Cool. And then we're in the bar. If you were in this bar having a drink with anybody you could have a drink with, who would you be sitting drink with? It'd be a Coke because you're not drinking. But...
Yeah. Gary McKenzie. So Gary, I worked with Gary at Bibby Offshore, and he worked for us in latter years. And he passed last year in a tragic accident. So if I had a chance, I would be
having a beer with him.
It would be a pint of Tennent's without a doubt.
Yeah. Good stuff. Neil, thank you very much.
It's great. Thanks for having me.